We are currently executing a fatal logic error in our economic operating system. There is a systemic bug rapidly livestockifying the human population.
Whoa, okay. Livestockifying? I mean, I know we're talking about universal basic income and the rise of AI, but...
The prevailing consensus treats UBI and AI as an inevitable liberation. It is not. UBI is severance pay to fire humans.
Wait, severance pay?
It is a subscription to prevent rebellion. Capitalists are handing out just enough digital currency to keep people entertained. This permanently separates society into two distinct groups: an eternal owner class and a lifetime customer class.
But hold on, you're glossing over a massive historical triumph here. Eliminating the biological terror of starvation is huge.
Wealth that ceases to circulate is a systemic blood clot. It stagnates. It rots in a giant dam at the top while the public is turned into thought-paralyzed, happy consumers.
I can't accept that characterization. For thousands of years, human existence has been defined by the grinding panic of securing calories. Severing the chains of mandatory wage labor is practically a miracle.
You are confusing biological survival with actual freedom.
Am I? If we guarantee survival through UBI, even if a small elite manages it, we are freeing people from exhausting, meaningless bullshit jobs. They can pursue leisure or, community building.
Universal basic income only supplies the minimum background power required to survive. It is the trickle charge that keeps a smartphone in standby mode.
But that trickle charge means you don't starve to death. That's a pragmatic win-win.
It strips individuals of the initial equipment required to embark on the adventure of starting a business. It removes the surplus capital needed to innovate.
Well, no, time is the ultimate initial equipment. If you aren't freaking out about paying rent, your cognitive bandwidth is completely freed up.
Bandwidth is useless without access to the physical terrain.
I mean, history shows that guaranteed survival breeds exploration. Look at the aristocracy of the past. Their leisure time gave us the scientific revolution. If your survival is secured, the barrier to writing software or designing products drops to zero.
The barrier drops to zero only to become a digital sharecropper.
A sharecropper? Come on, anyone with a laptop can access cloud computing now.
You do not own the massive server farms. You do not own the advanced AI models. You do not own the global logistics networks. The elite claim they are giving you freedom of movement, but they have made all land private.
They built the platforms that make the movement possible in the first place.
They have installed a toll booth at every single step. You are permanently situated on someone else's platform, paying rent through data extraction.
But look at the leverage those platforms provide. An entrepreneur today, using AI APIs, wields the productive capacity of what used to be a 100-person corporation.
That arrangement relies on a mathematical deception. It is a physical scam regarding the decoupling of time and value.
How is it a scam if everyone is getting more efficient? If an AI lets a 10-hour job be done in 3 hours, that overarching efficiency benefits the whole ecosystem.
Imagine a commercial microwave.
Okay.
A chef bakes a meal. It traditionally takes 30 minutes in an oven. The customer pays $20. Technological advancement introduces the microwave, and the exact same meal is cooked in 3 minutes.
Right. So the wait time drops. That's a good thing.
The customer pays for the meal, not the wait. They do not demand a 90% discount simply because the cooking was faster.
Yeah, you're paying for the food.
Yet capitalists apply a completely physical deception to human workers. If an AI allows a worker to produce 10 hours of value in 3 hours, the capitalist reduces their pay to 3 hours.
Because the capitalist funded the AI.
They serve the exact same full-course meal to the market, but they only pay the worker for the fraction of time spent in the restaurant.
I just don't buy that it's a deception. The capitalists took the massive financial risk to build the billion-dollar data centers. They deployed the infrastructure that made your 3-minute microwave possible.
The capitalist is merely acting as a filter. They are privatizing a public intellectual inheritance.
No, they are activating that inheritance. The prevailing economic logic is perfectly sound here. We made it efficient, so the surplus is ours. Why would anyone build the microwave if they don't get the efficiency discount?
Because the capitalists did not build the microwave out of thin air. They could only maintain their capital thanks to the accumulated knowledge and the historical labor of billions of human beings.
But all that historical data is inert without the investment to organize it.
Every piece of code, every medical diagnosis, is the crystallization of human history. Cutting a worker's pay based on an arbitrary time metric is the literal theft of humanity's historical dividend.
Look, wealth accumulation is the exact engine that drives societal resilience. It funds empires and national infrastructure. You need that capital concentration to pull populations out of poverty.
Uncirculating wealth destroys physical resilience. It creates profound systemic fragility.
Fragility? How does having massive financial resources make a society fragile?
What happens when a natural disaster strikes, or a critical infrastructure grid fails? Capitalists will immediately retreat to private islands or fortified enclaves.
I mean, that's a bit dystopian. The state still exists.
The state becomes a mere zombified operations center. It has completely lost its physical ability to respond to crises.
Wait, a zombie state? The tax revenue from these AI monopolies is exactly what funds emergency services and disaster response.
Digital numbers on a ledger cannot engineer a bridge. Digital tax revenue cannot repair a power grid during a physical crisis.
But it pays the people who do. Historically, well-capitalized societies recover fastest, precisely because they can deploy massive financial resources.
You need a physically resilient, distributed populace that actually owns the tools of production. By pacifying the population with UBI, the state loses its functional immunity.
This idea of a giant dam of idle money is just a cartoonish misunderstanding of modern finance. Wealth doesn't just sit in a vault. It's constantly deployed into equities and startups.
History shows that no king or empire has ever successfully accumulated wealth indefinitely without triggering systemic collapse.
You can't compare modern liquid markets to 17th century gold hoarders.
Uncirculating wealth inevitably generates fatal thermodynamic friction. Without circulation, the wealth itself is structurally identical to garbage.
Okay, let's pivot for a second. Let's say I accept this premise that the wealth is clotting. What is the actual alternative? How do you force circulation without destroying the market dynamics that allocate the resources?
The master patch of circular capitalism. It is an auto-reboot protocol.
An auto-reboot? What does that even look like in practice?
First, a 3-hour workday. Second, strict maintenance of the current full salary, paying for the meal, not the wait.
Okay, and the third?
Universal basic income paired with a strict expiration date on dominance. Capitalists must face a term limit. 15 years on holding the primary means of production?
A 15-year term limit on capital? You have got to be kidding me. That is a catastrophic disruption of human incentive.
It violently flushes monopolized platforms back into the competitive pool.
You are telling visionary entrepreneurs, the people building planetary-scale AI, that their life's work will be confiscated by the state right when it reaches peak efficiency. Why would anyone endure the brutal early years of a startup with that hanging over them?
We observe maximum human performance within strict boundaries constantly. The capitalist is a limited-time top athlete.
An athlete? We're talking about the global economy, not a sport.
It is exactly the same as a Formula One racer. They do not drive slower because the race has a finite number of laps. The limitation forces maximum, risk-intensive performance.
An F1 race is an isolated entertainment event. You can't apply that to a trillion-dollar logistics company.
In their active 15-year period, the capitalist swings fully. They extract intense wealth, and they retire beautifully with those assets.
But a CEO didn't just jump into a pre-built car. They built the engineering team. They designed the engine. Forcing the most proven allocators out of the cockpit invites immense operational risk.
Then the track itself, the monopolistic infrastructure, is forcibly returned to the public so the next generation can run.
You are proposing we routinely dismantle the management structures of vital human infrastructure? The volatility would destroy the technological abundance you're trying to protect.
Continuous tenure prevents the emergence of new visionaries. It entrenches an unelected aristocracy holding a subscription model over human existence.
Look, I hear the warning about a permanent livestock class. I really do. It's a profound danger. But tearing apart the very engine that created our abundance carries massive risks. We have to maintain the drive that builds the future, rather than just amputating the leaders who get us there.
The existing system will inevitably collapse under the weight of its own entropy. Uncirculating wealth destroys the very foundation that gives it value. Transitioning to a circular model is not a philosophical preference, it is the only rational investment for survival.